hey, you fighter guys, you do your thing up there. We love you a long time. Hey, you Prowler guys, we love you a long time. You Hawkeye guys, but leave us alone. We want to do this thing over here all by ourselves. Like, we don't want any attention because I got to, the speed limit on the A6 was as fast as you could get it. Okay. And, so we didn't want, we don't want to get in and out and no one know where we're coming or going. You guys do too much attention, you fighter guys.
F-14 Tomcat radio show. Tomcat audible. Tomcat ball 6-0. Roger ball.
So I was listening to Roller, and I was reminded that out at Fallon there, and I know you saw this a lot, Ice, because you were there for so long. Is every time I went out there, we would be out there for 2 weeks doing the big strike level training. You always saw some incredibly comedic thing happen on the tax range. And Roller was talking about, you have to know everybody's mission. And Syphin said, yeah, you could fill in for this guy because I'm a super spare. But every once in a while, you're watching the debrief and you see all these airplanes flying around on the strike package, and you know where everybody's supposed to go. And then you see one lonely duckling wandering off the pond, and you're like, what is happening? And everybody in the room is like,
I know, and you're like reaching out to come back, don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You're such a young man. Don't ruin your life.
And then you realize that's you, and that's why you didn't have the
right. That was me.
She's like, I put that guy in hack twice.
Oh my God. So that reminds me, you guys mentioned winders on A6s. That is one of my favorite stories of all time, is division of A6s going into Bravo 17.
You better be behind the wing line. That's all I have to say on that one.
Section lead gets a visual pickup. He's got his mighty winder, and he goes, oh yeah, we're gonna go get him. It starts heading up there. Oh my God, he didn't get anywhere close to getting MR, but he just got destroyed, and then of course got humiliated in the debrief. Like, what the heck are you thinking? Well, why in the world would you do that? Go to the target, young man. Go to the target. You have a mission.
That's why us A6 guys, we like to go and do our, I know you fighter guy, you're doing, by the way, I was a pointy nose guy for a while. I've got to fly the Viper for several years. So that was pretty cool. Single seat, I talked to myself for a decade, flying, because there's nobody sitting next to me anymore. When I started answering myself, it's time for me to quit flying the Viper. But yeah, man, we always like doing our own thing down there. We would decide whether to go low or high depending on the threat. And, hey, you fighter guys, you do your thing up there. We love you a long time. Hey, you Prowler guys, we love you a long time. You Hawkeye guys, but leave us alone. We want to do this thing over here all by ourselves. Like, we don't want any attention because I got to tell you, the speed limit on the A6 was as fast as you could get it. Okay. And, so we didn't want, we don't want to get in and out and no one know where we're coming or going. You guys do too much attention, you fighter guys.
The most impressive speed limit on the A6 is you can't go any faster than 250 knots with the canopy open. That's the most impressive number.
I got to tell you, I was telling Leekster yesterday, we were talking about this. We're the last, I think we were the last fighter out there, House fighter bomber, whatever, and that we could fly with the canopy open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never did it. Did you ever do it?
Oh, absolutely. We would do a FOD check. Strap in real good, and we do a FOD check.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could. What is it? You could open it up at 200, and then you could
200. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do that?
See, all the things I've forgotten. I remember that.
Yeah. Could the Prowler do that?
It's critical
good Lord, no.
information.
No,
Oh,
they
the Prowler
off,
came
yeah.
up in like
Yeah,
a
A6
open like
had
a
that
pop
hydraulic
top.
forward
Yeah,
back
yeah.
canopy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prowlers were
But, but the speed
Pneumatic.
limit was as fast as you could go. There was no speed limit.
I just
I
want to
remember
add
doing-
in, I never heard of this in my life.
So if you opened the canopy in flight, did you have to wear a scarf and have the white scarf flopping
my
in the
cigar,
wind?
yeah. I had a cigar there. You know, I'm going to get you, Red Baron. No,
I thought the Cougar and the Panther were the end of canopy open. Apparently not.
Well, there is some folklore associated with that scarf program because evidently that was tried and they underestimated the power of a scarf at 250 knots. It's evidently relatively tight and
I think that was
scary.
Bobby Goodman. I think that was him. He was a great guy.
I literally had no idea. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So one more quick Fallon story while I'm at it, and this is to prove that it's not just the machine; it's the man in the machine as well. So F-14D, fantastic machine, SA galore. What does everybody know about the range in Fallon? There's this nice little shelf in the southern part of the range where all the airliners descend to go into Reno to land. Everybody knows it's airline traffic. Mighty F-14D is out doing have a pee on the Prowler, go round circles, Lord knows how. But the wingman, for whatever reason, comes around the corner, gets a hot contact over the shelf, 0.7, 30,000 feet, Fox 3, and lo and behold, there's a freaking guy right behind him, Fox 3 on the trailer. Dude shot down 2 airliners within a matter of like 5 minutes.
That's some good work.
Astounding. It was astounding. Like, wow. Now that was a debrief.
That's some seriously good work.
That's some good work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a debrief.
It's so
It
weird
was.
because
It was
they
fantastic.
didn't show up on the tax range.
Did he have Delta
Yeah,
napkins
right.
on his seat?
Why didn't that airliner have a tax pod on it? Come on.
Exactly. I'm sure that was a recommendation.
Oh wow. In the E2, listening to this and going like, oh my goodness.
Should we stop him? No. Let it go. See how it plays out. It's too good.
I was taking out an FNG, and I know there's a G-rated show. That's a fairly new guy for all your listeners out there. You talked about who's talked about a comp plan before? How you had the detailed comp plan, and now Leekster, you remember you saying, oh, there's always that one guy that was always, doing counterflow, right? Well, I've taken this new guy out. And remember the comm sheets that we used to get every day, to where it had, a submarine was called this, or something. What was that called again? Card of the day. Well, I remember this again. I will never forget this, man. I mean, we're launching off. We do our clearing turn. We're getting 500 knots at 500 feet, 7 miles. Then you pitch up, right? And I tell my new guy, this is like his first or second launch off the carrier. He met us on cruise. And I say,
Wow.
hey, there's a submarine there right in front of the ship. When you check in, tell him that there's a submarine there. And he says, okay. He says, hey, don't forget to use the code word in the card of the day, okay? Use the code word. So he says, okay, I got it, Roller. So I see him over there. I'm pitching up like this, doing an implement up to 7,000 feet. And I see he has a card like this. He says, hey, this is Heartless 535 checking in. Be advised, there's a theatrical at periscope depth, 7 miles in front of the ship. And I say, well, the bad guys are never going to know that's a submarine, man. And he looked at me and said, what?
Man, his cryptography was awesome. What could that possibly mean?
Yeah, I know. It's just funny stuff like that, that I remember.
Well, if we're going to tell funny war stories, we were talking about the bombing competition around the ship and how all the guys would participate in this bombing competition, but very few people know that the E2s would participate in the bombing competition.
I actually won one once.
I read that in the resume.
Oh, well, tell us about your winning the bombing competition. Biff.
Huckleberry.
It was a department head tour. I think it's 96. They were off on Kennedy, and we decided to put the sled out and bomb the wake, and so we're like, well, we're gonna be involved. So they said, all right, you can do it. You got to go first to get out of the way, and then let everybody else come in. So we took 3 Mark 45s into the airplane and opened up the ACO hatch, and we'd kind of done a little practice run, so it kind of the co-pilot marked on the windscreen about where to say go, and then
Wow.
do ICS to the ACO
Fred
to
Flintstone.
drop out that, So
That's
Came
the
in.
serious T-bar method.
came in,
That looks about right.
Yep. So came in. He said, drop. I was hanging out the ACO hatch and dropped the Mark 45, hit the sled, sunk it.
No.
And then
everybody's pissed. There's nothing else to
and
hit.
then everybody else got to bomb the wake.
Everybody had to bomb the wake.
That's amazing. And I don't think that people, most folks don't realize that around the carrier is this constant air show. You're watching people come into land, and you're watching people go off the catapult, and people are doing flybys. And literally call them up and request a flyby, and if the airspace is clear, you come zipping by the ship, and they just want you to be below supersonic or whatever. And then we would have strafing and bombing competitions, and they would pull this sled behind the ship, and it was on a 1,000-foot cable, and it looked like a water skier behind the thing. If you looked at it, it looked like a guy was water skiing 1,000 feet behind the ship. And so when you would roll in to drop a bomb on this or strafe it, you'd have to actually pull a little bit of lead, because while the bomb's falling through the air, the little sled is moving along at 20 knots or whatever, and it takes 20 or 30 seconds for the bomb to fall. So for an E2 come trucking through there and have some guy hanging out the back holding a bomb like a World War I, like a cartoon guy, holding an actual bomb, and then throwing it out the window, basically, is what they're doing, and have it hit the sled on a bullseye and sink it. I'm absolutely floored.
That's not the Norton bomb site. That's the Ralph Cramden bomb site.
Yep, same thing happened in '98 on the Stennis.
On land, we would do get a 10-pound bag of flour and do that, and then puff it, and hit it. See how well we did. Did that at Dare County range a couple of times.
If I was flying that airplane and you were my mole and that happened, you wouldn't be able to buy another drink at any port call. That is unbelievable. That is fantastic.
Yeah. That's biplane stuff right there.
Yeah.
This is what the Navy will reduce 2 bags of flour out of a Hawkeye and on a training range.
I always had fun in my A6 going up there and going up to Indian country and playing with some of those guys. Hey, I had a lot of fun up there. But put those free brakes out, and I got one mean turn on me, man.
So occasionally they would in the middle of deployment, when nothing was going on, and we would set up an area that was maybe 50 miles across, a box basically, and they called it Indian country. And any airplane that entered into that was susceptible to being jumped. And so you had to defend yourself. And it just became like a free-for-all dogfighting area, basically. So, it was pretty amusing as an F-14 guy to watch an A6 guy come wandering in there. Hey, I'm going to get you with my Sidewinder. And,
drop my bomb on you.
So,
get you real slow.
I got to say that's I've heard those stories, but apparently shortly after 9/11, basically that stopped. I don't remember ever doing that, unfortunately.
Oh, it was so much
Well,
fun.
it's called the Washington football team country now.
Right.
The S3 came in there, and I've seen the E2 guys come in there, and they're flying in a little tiny circle with their pointing their dome at you and whatever.
An S3 in there, man. I could take an S3.
Yeah, an S3. Yeah.
That'd be an amazing dogfight, an S3 versus an A6. Who'd be out of energy first?
Could I extend off an S3 and pitch back? Let me tell you.
Right.
Who can make it through the whole turn without, dropping their nose?
I want to know which of the two is going to try to take it into the vertical, though.
No one.
Not the S3, that's for sure.
No.
I think they got to dump gas before they go vertical.
So, Roller, did you fly the KA-6? Or we had KA-6s in my air wing, and they were the
Yeah.
best tankers. We loved getting gas off of those guys.
Yeah, you know, the KA-6, we had them for a short time in my squadron because they were long in the tooth. You know, they're basically retrofitted A6As. They're designated just pure for tank. They had they were stripped out of everything. From what I remember, I don't even think they had the BN had a nav in there. You know, I mean, I think they had some type of other type
like a crazy Omega or Lorraine.
Oh, yeah, it had an Omega. That's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
had an Omega
something
in it.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it had an Omega in it. That's
Yeah.
right. And yeah, but it could carry a lot of gas. I mean, we could carry 20. I mean, I know the bomber version, we could carry 26,000 pounds of gas. You know, I remember doing a mission. Someone asked about a long mission. My longest missions were over in Southern Watch. We'd launch off launch off at night, 2.5 hours over the launch from the Red Sea over Saudi, doing buddy tanking the whole way for the Hornet babies. All right. I can't remember how many damn times I tanked in in one night. I mean, I'm up there with the KC-10, you know, or the Nimrod or whatever the heck it was, filling up. And then as soon as I got these, you know, 5 little Hornet ducklings, you know, sucking the gas out of me. And then holy shit, now I'm bingo, you know. So I mean, it was fun. I definitely got good at tanking.
So
then we do a 2.5 hour mission there, and then we come back 2.5 hours missions back again. So it'd be like 7 hours to be up. You know,
we would take off the S3 too. They never had as much fuel to give as an A6. The A6s were amazing, and during Desert Storm, everybody got to do all kinds of, you know, ordnance stuff. Well, the S3 guys were getting upset because they couldn't go over the beach because they were too slow, and there was some mission where there were some boats, and they had some bombs on this S3, right? So they were like, okay, the S3 guy is going to go bomb this target. So the S3 goes over there and rolls in on this guy and pickles off his tanker store.
Drop tank.
Not just a drop tank, but the actual tanker store, you know,
Joke.
with the drogue on it and everything, you know.
that's not good.
Oops.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was embarrassing. But how often do they drop bombs? So he had selected the wrong station. So they came back and landed. And, you know, the next day somebody painted a little rogue tanker store under the cockpit like a MiG with the hose hanging out of it, you know. And of course, you know, the big joke on the air wing for the next week was, oh, you know, I saw that thing come off, and then I saw 2 Hornets trying to get the gas out of it all the way down to the water.
That's right.
Must have made the airplane cartoon for like the next month.
Easily.
You guys ever tank off a C-130?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was how painful
You
was that?
mean this?
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I think they got it up to 202 knots or something like that. And you know, I'm taking as much gas until I got my slats out. I got everything hanging off it to try and get as much lift as I can. And the deal was you take as much gas until you fall out of the basket.
Yeah, in the Prowler, you had to actually make up a configuration so you could fly slow enough.
Yeah.
Because if you went to 20-degree flaps, then the stab would shift, and you'd have this crazy pitch authority that was hard to manage when you're trying. So you'd actually just crack the flaps and slats a little bit to get a little more wing.
Yeah.
So you could fly a little slower, but not enough to shift the
I remember
stab.
that.
Yeah, that was a trick the Marines taught us.
Yeah,
Wow.
tank until you fall out of the basket.
Yeah,
No,
craziness.
that's so fun. We actually got fragged for that over Iraq one night, and I remember my pilot was like, I don't want to fly this mission. I mean, just because of that. I mean, he was like, I really don't want to fly this mission.
No, I'm serious, man. I don't want to fly this mission.
I mean, tanking at night over Iraq was bad enough, but having to do it off of 130 at, I don't know, what were we, like 18K? So not very high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're low. Yeah, and slow. So you're in like the worst of both worlds.
That's
It's
exactly
awesome.
where the Tomcat wants to be,
Yeah.
low and slow. Yeah, thank you.
Well, now, Biff, we got to ask, are you the last guy? I'm sorry, not Biff. Roller. Are you the last guy to smoke a cigar in a Navy fighter plane with the canopy open?
Well, I might be.
That was the week he left the F-16 squadron.
Here's a Grumman story. So in 2003, I was a XO of the squadron. We were transitioning from the Hawkeyes that we had, the brand new Hawkeye 2000. So we got, and like I said, I got one airplane. We have 4 airplanes. 3 of them were numerical succession.
Wow.
801,
awesome.
802, and 800, 801, 802, 164, 800, 801, 802. So we'd fly down to actually Melbourne, because it came Northrop Grumman at the time, picking them up off the factory floor, flying them back up. We'd land and brand new airplanes, 25 hours on them basically, and you get up, and up in the pilot seat on either side was an ashtray. Because they took the designs from 1970, and that was part of the design, and there was an ashtray in the design, and we had to remove them, but they were built to spec, and there was a
Cigarette pushing cigarette lighter.
That's why you needed to open the canopy, because we didn't have
Yeah. No, but I had several flights where the in my early days there were the with a maintenance officer that smoked all the time, or a XO up in front that smoked all the time, and they definitely smoked in the airplane. And that was in the mid to late 80s. It's still going on.
So I went over to Egypt to do this. We were doing a big air-to-air exercise with them. I don't even remember what it was called, in the Red Sea, and we sent in some liaison officers. Well, I got to be the air-to-air coordinator for the fighter side, and we sent in an E-2 Mole to be and this guy, he was, he really had his stuff together. He was a sharp cat. And so we go in there together into Cairo, and we're working directly with their high command. It was funny because we were both lieutenants, and we're working with generals, and everybody's a general or a colonel, and he went for a ride in their E2s, and lo and behold, every single guy in the airplane is smoking. They're not even strapped in. They're up walking around, the whole time. He's just blown away. He's riding on a C2, and he's watching these guys they're smoking nonstop, and they're literally up and out of their chairs, walking around. He just couldn't believe it. When they're, the flaps are down, the landing gear's down, they're about to touch down, and they're still wandering around in the back of the tube. It's just like, what the heck? Wow. Yeah. But so it was different culture, different deal.
We make them. We can't tell them how to use it, right?
No. It was so much fun. So much, those, you guys know. I mean, anybody who's ever done it, the international exercises, working with other countries is hands down. That's like the funnest thing you'll ever do in the military.
It is fun.
I mean, one day you're flying off. You're flying with the 4 ship of F-14s, and then it's mixed with a couple of 18s and 14s, and then you get some Mirages, and a few tornadoes mixed in there, and I mean it's just amazing, just amazing, some of the stuff, and I don't know if I really understood how special it was back then. They're just all part of the today this is what we're gonna do, but I look back on it and I'm like, wow, some of that stuff is just pretty cool.
I mean, I was at Fallon. We had B1s, we had B-52s, but I know you must have seen everything under the sun.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's all F-35, F-22, B-2.
Oh, I'm thinking all the Air Force birds and international.
Yeah, because he's working Air Force as well with Prowler.
No, yeah, we tried to bring in, particularly the later part of the training, bring in joint assets and integrate them. So, we'd get guys coming in out of, Mountain Home or Nellis, or we'd get bombers to come in from someplace to integrate into the strikes. And it's a pretty unique experience when you see the B-52 come in and drop a load of bombs on Bravo 20. It's a whole different sight picture on the ground than what we got used to seeing. That's for darn sure. Mm-hmm. So
B-52 is an amazing airplane.
It's gonna be 100 years old soon, this thing, man. Yeah,
I
that's
remember-
amazing.
I remember rolling in on that, trying to. They were doing some testing with some of the new Gee Whiz stuff they got when I was in my Viper.
Oh, ECMO stuff, you mean like?
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, man, I could not. I mean, I was afraid for my life. And what the hell are they zapping me with right now?
Gotta
Goofy
get some
right
good
now.
gear.
I couldn't get a lock. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Why did I volunteer for this mission?
Everybody always wonders why or how the B-52 flies uncontested, no escort, no nothing, 100-year-old slow lurching turtle in the sky. And it's same thing with Air Force One. There's just plenty of room to put gear on it, so
Yeah.
you're not going to get near it, and that's the whole design. But an awesome platform, like I said. What a when bomb bay doors open. I was at an air show once at Norfolk, and it was a father. We were standing in the bomb bay doors of a B-52, and there was a father and son there, and the father was explaining to the kid, I'll probably edit this out, but the father was explaining to the kid that, this is one of the most, dangerous bombers on the planet. And he's like, a lot of people have died from this airplane that, it has bombed and killed. And of course, I can't keep my mouth shut. And I looked over to the guy and I looked to his son and I said, actually, this is where peace begins, right here through deterrence. It's because of these bomb bay doors that people don't do what they want to do. Instead, they, have to be angry and just deal with it. And that's a big thing when it comes to the B-52.
I had a mission in Afghanistan where we were up working a valley with some guys down on the ground and got a call. Hey, can you move south about 10 or 20 miles? Sure, we'll move south. Yeah, we got some guys. We're going to come in and hit some targets here in that valley just to the north of you. Okay. So no kidding, they brought in a section of B-52s.
Wow.
Well, they have like 100 and some odd, just laid waste to an entire valley. Just like nothing I'd ever seen before in my life. So, wow. Huh.
Yep.
All right. That's a way to shape the battle space. That was something.
I had a similar experience in Iraq. I was up there by Kuwait, and at some point, and I saw 6 B-52s go in against the Republican Guard, and
Wow.
they just obliterated a piece of land. I couldn't believe my eyes. And the other thing I got to see that was very interesting was the Iowa class battleships, firing up in the Basra area. And it was pretty impressive. I mean, when you think about every time they fire that gun, it's a 1,000-pound bomb, right? It's a 1,200-pound warhead coming down on somebody. Right. And they can do that stuff for hours and hours and hours.
Inexpensive.
And I can't imagine how demoralizing that must be, to just be pounded repeatedly for hours by these battleships. It was super impressive. But I agree, the B-52s,
and they were flying out of America, the B-52s, hitting those targets over there. They were coming out of Louisiana.
They were coming out of Diego, I think.
Diego,
was it Diego?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I know initially with the Gulf, they were flying. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The B-2 is what was
That's
coming
the
out of
B-2s,
America.
yeah.
B-2,
Roger.
yeah.
But then actually the B-2s were flying out of Diego too later. So yeah, at least a little bit not so hard.
And now what they're doing is they're putting, GPS guided bombs on there, and they're doing close air support with those platforms, which to me, but there's nothing more comforting if you're on the ground than looking up and knowing that guy's going to be there for 6 hours or 8 hours. And anytime you want to, it's warheads on foreheads, man. You just pull the trigger whenever you need it. That and an A-10 will make you feel really good if you're sitting in a trench somewhere, I guarantee you.
Especially with catching a B-1 coming in, too, is another prize package airplane.
Yeah.
Boeing has definitely been upgraded in its recent years, and it's really evolving, and it continues to evolve.
That's why I asked Ice, because I went on a Fallon Det, and the B-1s came with us. It was their first time dropping conventional, and we integrated them into these big strike packages, and they were slinging bombs. We were lucky they were landing in Nevada. That's how far they were going off target. But they like anybody, they got it figured out. And by the end of the 2 weeks, they were putting them on target, and it was impressive. I mean, the airplane just blew my mind to watch an airplane of that size fly, 200-300 feet off the ground at 500 knots plus. The thing is unbelievable. And it's got an ECM package. You can't, nobody's going to touch them. They're just going to go through anything. Very impressive machine.
Yeah, a lot of hard work behind the R&D on that platform, honestly. And Ice, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You want to put this to rest for them. Do you have kids?
So funny story. So I do. I've got.
That's a funny story.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Okay.
We're talking about
It goes back to the
in the United States, of course.
Oh,
So,
not at Subic.
So my daughter was born while I was at Whitby flying Prowlers, and went to Oceana for my CAG ops tour. Started flying Tomcats, and I had a boy. So
You do
my
have a
wife had
boy.
Yeah.
All right, we
I
put
had
that to rest.
Oceana. I had to go to Oceana to make a boy get